Hi everybody, welcome back to Brelsford Family Homestead. I'm Darcy. Today we are going to make beef tallow, but maybe not in the way that you think. I'm not taking a bunch of fat and rendering it down. I'm making beef bone broth. I was blessed with some grass-fed beef bones and I'm really excited about that. And I need to make room in my freezer. So we are getting those out. We're going to put them in the roaster and roast them, then add some water, make bone broth, and then the resulting fat, before I can that bone broth, we're going to make tallow with it. So I do have a step-by-step video on how to make bone broth with chicken carcasses and how to can that. I will post that here. So I probably won't do all the step-by-steps with the bone broth, but I will show you how we're gonna do the tallow. I'm really excited to have this for cooking and to cut out some more of the store-bought oil. So let's go. The first thing we're gonna do is put those bones inside the roaster. I am using my rack. If you don't have one, that's okay. You do not need to thaw these first. So we're gonna put the lid on, turn it on, and let this roast for several hours, and then we'll add water to start making that bone broth. These have been roasting for a while. I think it's time to add the water. Since I don't have a really large amount of bones in here, I am only going to fill my roaster about halfway. It will still be a nice, good broth, but I don't want it to be too weak, so we'll just see. I am going to put a little bit of apple cider vinegar. I am not going to add anything else. I'm not adding salt, any vegetables, or anything. I want this to just be beef bone broth. So that I am free to use it in anything I want, the way I want, and also if I wanted to, I could give it to my dogs without any worry of what's in it. And because we are going to be making that beef tallow, I don't want it to be flavored, so we're just going to leave it like this. I typically like my bone broth to simmer for 2 full days. I will see what I think after 2 days with this. You know, beef bones do not break down as quickly as chicken bones, so I'll just see what I think it looks like. I'm really looking forward to this and the tallow that we're going to make together. I started this on Thursday. It is now late afternoon on Saturday. I'm going to go ahead and strain this and put it in a large pot in the fridge. I'm straining this through just a fine mesh strainer, sieve, whatever you want to call it. But I wanted you to see how soft this bone is now. You can just stick a butter knife in it without much effort. I'll probably feed this to the chickens. The bone broth has had plenty of time to chill and for the fat to rise to the top, which is what we're going to use to make the tallow. So let's see how much we got. I am going to be canning this beef bone broth. And so I want to get rid of a little bit more of this fat that you see here. So I'm going to pour it through a sieve again as it's cold and will be easy to do. But we're going to deal with the tallow now. I want to try to get rid of some of the impurities, but I don't want the fat to start melting. I can just scrape some of it here with the spoon. I am going to be adding water to this again, so it's okay that we're dipping this in water. We're going to add some salt and some water and boil it again. It will not make the broth salty. It will stay in the water. And when we put this in the refrigerator, it will separate again. So if you want your broth to have salt in it, you'll have to add it, or your tallow. So you'll have to add it in later. This step I don't think is really totally necessary. Once we put it in this pot with some water, it will separate. I'm just seeing if this will save me a little bit of work. Now, if this was just made from fat, like if I hadn't had the bones with the meat in it, this probably wouldn't be a necessary step. But, you know, there was a lot of meat on those bones. My dogs really enjoyed it, and so did my chickens. So there's not like a hard and fast rule about how much salt and water you put in this. Based on the amount of fat, there wasn't like a ratio anywhere that I could find. So I'm just going to put, you know, several big handfuls. Well, not handfuls. I'm just going to put several big pinches in enough, probably equal amounts of water to to that to make sure that I can cook it down. This is a bit messy, huh? All right, let me get some water and salt. I definitely could use a smaller pot, but this will allow me to not be missing any of my pans for some of the things I'll be cooking. So I'm just gonna add some water in there. Like I said, a couple big pinches of salt. And we'll get this on the stove and let it simmer for just a few minutes. The reason I'm doing this is because that we used those really fatty bones that had a lot of meat. So I want to clarify this so that there's not a strong beefy smell or taste, so that I am free to use this tallow for anything. Now, it will be interesting to see the difference because I have ordered some beef fat from a grass-fed cattle farmer that I know, and so I'm really excited to make tallow from that, and we'll see what the difference is between using this from bone broth and that. Maybe that'll be another video. Okay, this is simmering good. I'm gonna have to turn the heat off. I'm gonna put that pot in the refrigerator and leave it for at least overnight to make sure that that fat separates from the water and it gets good and hard, to make it easy to separate it, and then we'll see together if it needs to be clarified anymore. I changed my mind. I'm not gonna keep it in that pot. I'm gonna put it in this bowl and just put some saran wrap or something like that on the top. It'll take up a little less space for the small amount that I have. Okay, we'll see you back here tomorrow. I got the bone broth all canned up, and now let's check out this tallow here. It's gotten a chance to chill and harden up again. Here is the hardened tallow. There's water underneath, and the bone broth has all been canned up. Ooh, nice. Came out in a nice solid piece. I'm just gonna scrape these bits off of the back of it here. Based on that, I might do it one more time, or maybe I'll just scrape this off. It's not dark, it's not a lot. I'm going to get my scale and we'll weigh this and see how much we made. I have two identical bowls, so I'm just gonna put it on here to zero out my scale. And that is 12 and 7/8 of an ounce of tallow. The side that was facing up is nice and smooth, clear of everything. This side still has a little bit, so I'm thinking I might heat it up one more time. It doesn't hardly have any smell, just a little bit. So I'm gonna clarify it one more time and I'll show you that, and then we'll package it up. Okay, I clarified it one more time, just like I did before, but I didn't think you needed to see all that. So let's open it up and see what we have. We got a little bit more. Well, actually, this could be my salt because I used pink Himalayan salt. I'm glad to see that. I'm going to scrape all of this off, and then I also have a plate here where I want to just let some of that moisture, make sure it gets off of there. Okay, paper towel's not the way to go. Let me get something to scrape this off. I'm just using this little dessert spatula just to remove. I do think it's from my salt, because if you remember from yesterday for me, a few seconds ago for you, it was not dark like that. I am happy with this though. I am going to make sure that I get all of the water dried from it. And then I am going to break it up and store it in chunks. Maybe I'll cut it. Doesn't that look nice? I'm really happy with how this has turned out. Let's smell it. Do I dare taste it? I mean, I would never like just... The squad's coming for me already. Can't believe I just like tasted Pat. But it doesn't taste like anything, so that's good. That's good to know. Hey, all for you. I'm tasting chunks of rendered tallow. I am gonna cut this up because I did read that when it's cold, it's harder to spoon out. Like lard can be too, but you can scoop it out, and this is kind of hard. So I'm just gonna like chop it up into some chunks and put it in a jar in the fridge. I am not gonna leave this out on the counter. I do not believe that tallow in any form is counter or shelf stable. So, and I'm not canning this obviously. So this was from bone broth. So I'm really impressed. I mean, otherwise for canning, you have to skim off the fat. So this would be a waste product typically for me. So to be able to have less waste and be able to use this for cooking and things, I'm really excited. Now I am picking up, I think tonight my husband is picking up some beef fat that I ordered to make tallow. So I'll probably do another video of just that. But to be able to have tallow and canned bone broth, that's a winner for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for coming along. Until next time, God bless.